Hey, what's going on? This is Mike, and I am the Sports Dope. You can find me on Twitter at that Sports Dope or Instagram with the same name. If you happen to run across this on iTunes and you're looking to look at my dumb face while I'm doing this, you can go to mindsofmike.com/the Sports Dope, and you'll find a bunch of little social media icons in the top right, and you'll be able to find whatever you're looking for there. The YouTube link, and if you happen to come across this on YouTube, via Reddit or wherever, because I do throw all that shit up there to rousing nothingness, to rousing silence, I guess you could say. But I throw that shit up there, so if you're coming across it there and you find it on YouTube and you want to, just download it and take it on the go, mindsofmike.com/the sports dope. Bunch of social media Mike icons, not Mycons. I wish I could call them Mycons. That would be fucking cool because, I am Mike. But yeah, so that's it. That's all my shit. It's a little late, Sunday, or not Sunday. Fuck, if it was Sunday, it'd be super late. But it's Friday, 7 o'clock at night. I had set up and planned to do this yesterday, but I fucked up, right? I fucked up. So what happened was I got home from work yesterday. I ate a decent-sized edible. Was planning on doing this before it kicked in. And then work called and I had to do a bunch of shit. So by the time I was done with my work shit, wasn't really in recording shape. And you know what? Funny story. Did it again. I did it again today. Giant edible. Waiting for it to kick in. And doing a podcast while I'm waiting. So that's my plan. And not trying to sound like a badass or anything, but 150 milligrams. That's how I roll. I want to go into a coma tonight. It has been that kind of week. And it's partly because of how bad I was in DraftKings last week. But that's okay. We'll run through it, run through the lineups we said last night or last week, and run through what we did. Maybe take a lesson or two out of it, whatever, something. And, apply that knowledge to this upcoming week. Make some cash. A little profitability. Like I said, my goal is to crack. I want to crack 1,000 in the Millionaire Maker. That's my goal. That's what I want to do. That's what I want to bring you guys with me, and that's the plan. And so that's the step to success, right? Make a goal. Levels to achieve that goal. Levels to achieve that goal. Study the dumb fucking shit we did last week. So let's dive into it. First lineup we gave out was not the Millionaire Maker. It was like, bullshit league with your friends. So, once again, because I had some questions on Reddit, like, hey, how come I can't find fucking Miles Sanders? Well, because Miles Sanders was playing at 8 o'clock at night. And the Millionaire Maker only runs through 1 to 4 o'clock games. So, I got some friends, they do a weekend-long competition. So, that's what that lineup was. Or there's a bunch of other small, different contests out there that have those games. And if you want to play those games, fucking play one of those games. Play the lineup. Play the lineup in those games. You got to check what the matchup time frames are. But anyway, diving back into it. Non-Millionaire Maker, friends lineup, beat your buddies. Didn't work out this week though. Didn't even break 100 with this lineup. Ugh. How disgusting is that? You don't even break 100 when there's a bunch of fucking bonus points involved? Ugh. So here's what we went with, right? I love the stacks. Stack is a standard operating procedure of what I do here, of how I roll with my daily fantasies. And my stack for this one was Russell Wilson and Tyler Lockett. I thought they were going to put up some numbers against not Seattle, they are Seattle, against Baltimore. But no, they fucking play like shit. Especially Russell Wilson played like shit. That pick six at the end, that ruined it. That was a rough one. So Russell Wilson, 15 points. Tyler Lockett actually beat him. He had 16. So ugly. You want your quarterback, wide receiver stat combo to at least get you like 50 or 60. Because that's what you're trying to do. You want to get a bunch of guys with like 25, 30 points each. And your quarterback has to fucking spearhead that. He's got to be the first one. He's got to be the first one to 25, your quarterback. And everybody else should follow suit. Like fucking Mel Gibson in We Were Soldiers. First one on the battlefield, last one off. So Russell Wilson was not my guy last week for that. Tyler Lockett did decent, still not good, 16.8, not what I'm looking for there. Running backs last week, Marlon Mack, and I threw Miles Sanders. Little discount, little cheap play in there. Didn't work out either. I was expecting Philly to at least show up somewhat, not get smoked 37-10 on Sunday night. Ugh, what a gross team they look like out there. I really like a lot of people are on Philly this week, and I hope that Buffalo just stomps their fucking cheesesteaks out. Just just get all that whiz, just stomp them until the whiz is fucking just pushed out of their bodies, through their ears, every orifice, assholes, nose, fucking whatever, cheese whiz pouring out of all of them. Fuck them. But yeah, still liked Miles Sanders, but terrible. 6.2 points, not good. Marlon Mack, also not a great game. Only 44 yards on the ground. Not good for us. Doesn't help us at all. And you know what the worst part is? The worst part is if you've been following along, I have been on DeAndre Hopkins' dick for weeks, just begging him to give me a 30-point game because I just wrote it until it happened. And I think this is my sign. It happened this week on this lineup. Get away from Hopkins. Get away from him. And I think I'm gonna. So Hopkins had a great week, though. Finally hit that 28 plus, 25 plus mark that we were looking for. Had a touchdown, 160 yards, 9 catches. Beautiful day for him, 28.6 points. Last wide receiver we had, because we already talked about Tyler Lockett, Dante Pettis. Here's a lesson we're going to take away from this, right? Sunday morning, maybe go check the weather report in the areas, especially since I was in line for that fucking monsoon that came through Washington and ruined that game. You see a weather report like that, you take the guy out, right? That's a lesson for me. That's my fault. I should have known that. I'm an idiot here, and that's okay. Dante Pettis, 0 fucking points. No points. None at all. Next one up, we had standard fare, Austin Hooper. Love that guy. It's going to be a little tougher for him now that, Matt Ryan probably not in the mix this week. Even if he is, I don't think he's going to be doing too well. And, we talked about how Seattle got fucking curb stomped. They are going to be looking for some revenge, and that revenge is going to be in the shape of a falcon. It's going to be a couple birds, and the Seahawk is just going to rip that Falcon's wings off in front of everybody. It's going to be destruction there, but that's neither here nor there. Austin Hooper did well for us. Not as good as you like, though. 46 yards, touchdown, and, 4 catches, 14 points. Nothing too special, but, hey, 15 points. Not bad. Either way, fuck it. I'm trying to put on a nice face here. The whole team was terrible, especially this guy, Kenny Golladay. I had no idea. Listen, I should have checked, and I should have asked all my friends on the Lions. I don't have any. If, hey, did Marvin Jones do something this week to earn Stafford and Matt Patricia's, respect like that in order to get 4 fucking touchdown passes and not let anybody else catch? Did, where Stafford and Matt Patricia at a bar drunk, and they were like, oh, how do we get home? And then Marvin Jones was like, hey, I'll fucking just drive you guys home. I'm dead sober. And he did, and they were like, yeah, we're going to get you 4 touchdown passes. And he was like, yeah, right, whatever. And then they gave it to him. So I had no idea. I missed out on that. I need to be more hip. My Detroit, happenings and, what goes on, the inner workings with their team and how they relate to each other socially and whatnot. That was stupid. So, anyway, Kenny Golladay, awful game. 1 catch, 21 yards. Not what you want to see. Took the Bears defense in this one. Look, I was thinking the Saints were going to falter here. Bridgewater, but, man, Teddy looks good. Teddy looks extremely good. And I don't know what New Orleans Sports Talk Radio is like. I'm sure it's a lot of when Zion coming back talk. But if New Orleans Sports Talk Radio is anything like New York Sports Talk Radio, that the first interception Drew Brees throws, there's going to be morons calling up and saying, I think we should put Teddy back in. Hello, is anybody there? Yeah, hang up on that guy. Don't even bother with that guy. But listen, Brees is coming back, and, I like them a lot going forward. They look fucking solid. And my biggest concern with them going into this season was that Brees was going to have his typical year where they're going to start out super hot, and then he was just going to get old and his arm was going to get tired at the end. So he doesn't have that anymore. He's just going to be, he had an 8-week break to get a ligament taken care of in his hand. So he's going to be fresh for the second half, fresh for a playoff run, fresh for a Super Bowl run probably. We'll see. All right, so that was that lineup. Not great, nothing to write home about. Next lineup we had out there. This was the Millionaire Maker lineup. This was the lineup that was going to get us to the homeland, but it fucking did not. It didn't. I got a little cute with this one, right? I went double stack. I went big time Oreos on this one. Jared Goff and Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods. I was expecting a lot from them out there in Atlanta. They did put up a shit ton of points. Jared Goff did have 25. Still a little low for what I was paying for him. But he did all that like himself. He threw touchdown passes to Garrett Everett and Todd Gurley, and then he ran one in. So Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods just sitting there with a mediocre amount of yards. So it did not work out. They had 11 and 13.6 respectively. So for my big old triple stack, I got about 50 points. That is not where you want to be with that. Not where you want to be. Running backs for this one. Also took Marlon Mack here. We talked about him already. Didn't live up to it. In this one, we got a little cute with this one, too. Went for a cheap running back because we had so much firepower in the air. And that was Devin Singletary. And he was a little bit of a sleeper. He was on some people's radar, but he did not live up to the hype either. 26 rushing yards. Frank Gore was just using his giant dome to make holes and bore his way through the Miami defense. And, that's just the way that game went. Devin Singletary, not anything to write home about. Next guy up, we had another wide receiver, and that was DK Metcalf. Again, like I said in the other, when we talk about the other guys, I was expecting some decent things from Seattle. Baltimore's defense didn't look great throughout the year so far. Definitely not the Baltimore defense of old. And same thing with Seattle. Not their defense of old either. So I was expecting a bit more fireworks, a little more action maybe, a little something. But it didn't work out. DK Metcalf ended the day, 53 yards, 4 catches, a fumble for 8 points. I don't have sound effects yet, so that was me. That was all natural. Next up on the list, tight end, playing the game of fading Arizona against the tight end, and it worked, but we had the wrong guy. Rhett Ellison caught a touchdown pass on Sunday, but Evan Ingram only had 1 catch for 6 yards. That is pathetic. And I think they kind of rushed him back a little bit from injury. Like him and Saquon, they were just really pushing him a little too hard. I think they could have, waited an extra week. Probably would have been a good idea. But, hey, whatever. Next up, flex spot. This one actually worked out fairly decently. 19.4 points from my guy Josh Jacobs in Oakland. Even though they were getting destroyed, they got destroyed. He still put up a nice day. He still, and from the running back position, when you get beat by 4 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns or so, you don't expect such a nice day out of him. But yeah, 124 yards, 3 catches, no touchdowns, but 1 touchdown puts that in the 30 range. It's close. It's getting that 25 plus, right? Lastly, for this one, defense, we went with the New York Giants, expecting a little regression from Kyler Murray, a little foul weather, a little tough for the little guy, but yeah, the Giants D played well. They got a touchdown, actually, 10 points, but not what you're looking for. Didn't work out for them. Did not work out for them. Did not work out for us. And that's okay. But we move on. We live to fight another day. And without further ado, let's dive into what we're working with this week. So, lessons from this week were check the weather. So, I'm going to do that Sunday morning. If there's anything that I'm changing, I'm going to tweet that shit out. At that Sports Dope, follow me there. And yeah, so stay tuned. If there's anything crazy, I'm gonna change it. I'll let you know. All right, let's dive in. This week, friendly lineup. All games included on the weekend, not the Thursday night game. Obviously, it's fucking Friday already, so that wouldn't be of any use to anybody in the world listening to this. All right, so let's start off with our stack. Stack for the week. And you're going to tell me how ugly it is. And I agree with you it's ugly. I agree with you it was ugly 2 weeks ago. But when it's so ugly one week, usually it bounces back the other way another week. I'm going with Jameis Winston. He's going to Tennessee. They don't have a running game to speak of, really. They do, but for some reason, Bruce Arians can't see that Ronald Jones is a good rusher. So for some reason, it leaves Peyton Barber in there getting 3 yards a carry, and then he gets annoyed and just throws the ball a bunch of times. So I think after Jameis has a rough game like that, he usually reels it back in. Boom or bust. He busted last week. Let's look for a boom. I got Jameis Winston at $5,900, and I'm stacking him with Mike Evans. Not Chris Godwin, more expensive, but I think Chris Godwin's going to have a little bit of a tougher time against this Tennessee defense. They're going to focus on him for something because he's the guy getting all the yards. And when teams do that, that leaves Mike Evans open. And you know what? Let's be honest. Mike Evans is open all the fucking time anyway because Mike Evans is just bigger than everybody. He can jump higher than everybody, and he can box motherfuckers out. So give me Jameis Winston, Mike Evans in Tennessee, $5,900 and $6,600 respectively. All right. Talked about it before. Atlanta, bag of fucking trash. Terrible team. Worst, if their team is like a -10, their defense is like -20 because their offense was still pretty decent. Not anymore. Matty Ice is hurt. They got Matty Schaub now. Not a good replacement. Ice for Schaub. I don't like it. So we're going to fade them, and we're going to do that by taking Chris Carson. Chris Carson of Seattle seems to have solved his fumble problems. Maybe he called up Tiki Barber, and he was like, yo, just hold that shit up a little bit. You got to hold it up a little bit. You don't leave it flat. Don't leave it flat. You leave it flat, there's a surface. A guy can slap that shit out. I'm giving you a tutorial on YouTube if you don't know. So slap flat, they'll slap it out. If it's up, there's no way to slap. You're going to slap your hand, hit the ball even harder into your grip. Now, Chris Carson solved the fumble problems. Seattle be up big early, and it's gonna be Chris Carson running the shit out of the ball at the second half. Next up on the running back slate, going a little cheap. Chris Carson was $7,000. Speaking of money, I am going with a guy who he's been hurt a little bit, came back, monster game. Game after that, very small game. And I think this is a game where they're going to want to run the ball. They're going to want to control the clock. And it's because just that defense is so bad, and that's what it's asking for, right? And I'm going with Jamal Williams, Green Bay Packers, at Kansas City, at night. He had a monster game, his game back from the injury. Terrible game last week, but for $4,800. And the way to beat this team, now there's no Mahomes there, so you can take it easy. You don't have to, gunsling it out. It's not a shootout. You could just run the ball down these guys' throats. Green Bay's been pretty good at that. You worry about Aaron Jones. Now, Aaron Jones is more of a pass catcher. That dude lines up in the backfield and goes out to the slot, and he catches the ball 30 yards downfield. Or he fucking drops it like he did last week. You fucking dickhead. But anyway, Jamal Williams, smash mouth football, run the ball through the Kansas City Chiefs defense, goal line, touchdowns. I like him this week, $4,800. So, receivers. Worst secondary in the league. Quick, say it without thinking. Philadelphia Eagles, right? Awful. I don't know what is going on with them. They are just so bad, and the front seven isn't even helping that much anymore, so they're even worse. They go into Buffalo. There's going to be a bunch of people jumping through tables there, and there's going to be Josh Allen slinging the ball to John Brown. John Brown has had quality, consistent weeks, and against a bad defense, I expect him to get in the end zone and maybe even have a tick above his consistent goodness. Tick above his consistent goodness. Give me John Brown, $5,900 against an awful Philadelphia defense, especially their backfield. Let's see. We talked about Mike Evans already. So here's another one, right? And I just said how Kansas City is shit. But Matt Moore, with a week with Andy Reid, sitting there eating fried chicken and looking at game tape, I think he's going to be able to find Tyreek Hill. At the very least, I think they're going to scheme a bunch of shit to get Hill the ball, short yardage, in space. So if he could even get 10 catches and then maybe breaks one for 100 yards, he could get above 100 yards, 10 catches, touchdown, maybe 2, who knows. I think he's got 25-plus potential. Don't be scared of him. Don't be scared of the high price tag because of Matt Moore. Just dive right in. Don't be scared. Just dive right in. Slap it like he slaps his kids. Tyreek Hill, $7,600. Lots of catches, lots of room to run, and he's quick as shit, so he's going to be able to run. All right, next up, we are going to the tight end slot. And we're going with T.J. Hockenson. T.J. Hockenson, Detroit, hosting the Giants. Awful defense. I know it for a fact because I live 10 miles from there. When they're playing here, it's like a fucking cloud of shit smoke is going up over that stadium because the team is so fucking shit right now. So T.J. Hockenson, I think Matt Stafford is incorporating him a little bit more and more. He started out hot, fell off a little bit, coming back up. And I think against the defense like the Giants, I think that that screams that he's going to, I think that he's going to be involved. Also, Kerryon Johnson hurt, out. So their running game is going to be non-existent because, who is it? Ty Johnson, I think. Nobody knows who the fuck this guy is. Who cares about him? Forget him. And that's just not going to help them. It's not. So if they're throwing it 10, 20% more than they usually do, that's extra looks. And the tight end is a guy that you throw it to when you're trying to supplement the run, right? If you're trying to get a 4-yard run and you want to change that with a 4-yard pass, who are you throwing it to? The fucking tight end, right? He's going to block for 4 seconds, pretend, not even 4 seconds. He's going to block for a second, pretend, then he's going to shoot out like 3 yards and turn around and then fall backwards for another yard because he's a giant fucking human being. TJ Hawkinson, I think he even gets in the end zone against the Giants at home. $3,500. Pretty cheap for a guy in an offense that can only throw the ball essentially because nobody can run it, and against a shitty defense. Next up, flex spot. We're going to Houston. Houston's coming in there. You think I'm going to Josh Jacobs again because I had him last week? Nope. I'm going to Carlos Hyde. Houston, the Texans, they lost last week. It was an ugly loss, division game. They're pissed. They're going to want to beat the shit out of somebody, and Oakland is that team. Oakland pretended and acted like they were good for about 5 minutes this season. They're back to being Oakland. They're fumbling through the fucking end zone like a bunch of rookies, like a bunch of morons. And Houston is going to be up big in this game, and they're going to need to run it. And Duke Johnson is not that guy that runs it. Carlos Hyde is the guy who runs it. He pushes it down the field, through the holes, short yardage, move the clock, move the chains. He's that runner. So I think Carlos Hyde has a big game, and for $4,700, I'll take it. Last up, defense. We're going to London, and I am paying up. Give me the Rams in London. I think they shut out the Bengals. The Bengals have no idea what the fuck they're doing, so you throw an international trip in there, and it just blows all their minds. Joe Mixon was the leading rusher last year. He couldn't, I guess it's just the team around him, but still, he is just awful this year. Terrible. Well, I talked about it last week, how some morons fucking reached to draft him. Like me, I did that in the first round because I was scared. But yeah, team looks awful. The Rams defense played really great last week. Jalen Ramsey is just a boost. You know, it's a morale boost. As much of a fuck him as I want to give him, he's a morale boost, and I'm going to take advantage of that. And we've talked in the past, defense wins these things. If there's a defense that puts up like 30 fucking points, you better have them if you have any hope of being in the top 100. Better have them. And you know what? The Rams could absolutely be this defense this week. I'm paying up $3,800 for the Rams. So, friendly lineup, Jameis Winston, Jamal Williams, Chris Carson, John Brown, Mike Evans, Tyreek Hill, TJ Hawkinson, Carlos Hyde, and pay up for that Rams defense, and you will take all of your friends' money. All of it. All of it. All right, last one, Millionaire Maker, Big Dog. Let's fucking do this. I talked about it. There is a dumpster fire of a defense, and it is heading into a dumpster fire of a city, and that is Detroit is going to get the Giants defense coming into town. Detroit has no ability to run the ball because they don't have a running back. Their running back is hurt, and he's not playing, and the guy who's substituting for him is a fucking nobody who has never ran the ball before. It's not happening. Give me Matt Stafford and give me Kenny Galladay. Kenny Galladay is the guy who drove the fucking coaches home drunk from the bar this week. He's the one who's going to get all the touchdowns. They're not going to leave him out like they did last week. Kenny Galladay, big bounce cat game with Matthew Stafford slinging it to him. Matt Stafford, $6,100, and Kenny Galladay, $8,100. All right, running backs. We're going to Jacksonville. What happens when you see ghosts? You give it to your Ghostbuster, and that is Le'Veon Bell. Look, the Jets looked absolutely awful last week. Sam Darnold looked atrocious last week. But what do you do when your quarterback, when you're a very young quarterback who just got done with mono because he was out there, he's still making out with girls? Like, that's a thing. Like, who does that anymore? Like, he gets mono like a jerk-off, comes back and has an amazing game, but then he has a fucking terrible game. So what's a remedy for a young quarterback? Hey, everything just froze up on me. I was talking shit about the Jets and how stupid they are. I don't know where it froze up, but I don't edit shit. So I'm just going to cut that stuff out. Hopefully you heard me say that Sam Darnold is looking for his Ghostbuster this week, and his Ghostbuster is going to be Le'Veon Bell. When you're a young quarterback and you have a terrible, terrible game with a bunch of fucking turnovers, the next week you played a little conservative, you handed off more and a bunch of short passes. I think Le'Veon Bell has a monster game this week, $6,900. I am taking it. I'm a little nervous that it's going to freeze up a little bit more, so I'm going to kind of get rapid right now. Also, that edible's starting to kick in a little. Next up, another running back, New Orleans, hosting Arizona. Latavius Murray, give me him $5,800, super cheap. Alvin Kamara is still not back yet, but they know he's coming back. So when you have like a pretty decent, when you've got a pretty decent running back, but you have a superstar running back coming back, you're going to beat the shit out of that running back, right? They're going to beat up Latavius Murray. They're going to run him into the ground this week because they're going to be up. It's Arizona. Their defense is not going to let them score like at all. They're going to beat them up, and then Latavius Murray is going to run it and drive it home. Latavius Murray, $5,800. I said in the opening that once DeAndre Hopkins hit that close to 30 mark, now that we're done with him, guess what? I lied. I got DeAndre Hopkins in my lineup, threw you off, $8,100. Oakland's coming to town. I said that Houston's going to be up big, and Carlos Hyde is going to run it home at the end of the game. Well, they got to get up big to do that, right? And to get up big, you throw it to your fucking big guy. That's DeAndre Hopkins. He was feeling it. Will Fuller, hurt, gone, not happening no more. You think Kenny Stills is going to take a bunch of those targets? I don't think so. DeAndre Hopkins doubling the targets. Let's fucking go. And I already said that guy. So diving in, next guy, next wide receiver. Look, Mariota's terrible. Tannehill is bad. Bad is a lot better than terrible. A.J. Brown had a bunch of targets last week. I like him a lot. I think this game could be a shootout. If the Titans are smart, they're going to realize, hey, Tampa Bay's got a good fucking run defense. They got a really good run defense. So what do? How do teams beat them? They throw the shit down the field. Who goes down the field for the Titans? A.J. Brown, $4,100. I think this is a steal. You need to get on this one. Absolutely get on this one. I feel like Billy Mays or Jim Cramer, like, buy. Like, A.J. Brown this week, solid play, $4,100, cheap as shit. Do it. Next up, tight end spot. I'm going with Hunter Henry. He's had a bunch of good weeks since he came back from injury. Chargers going up to Chicago. Chicago defense hasn't been, what it was last year, right? I mean, the Saints, Teddy Bridgewater Saints, just went in there, smoked them. So I think Phillip Rivers, look, the Chargers team is not good, but they are always in the game. They're always in the game. They never get blown out. And if they're in the game, they got to be scoring. And if they're scoring, Hunter Henry, $4,900. Flex spot. They just traded away their number one guy, Emmanuel Sanders, because, you know why? There was a 1A. 1A, Cortland Sutton, $5,300. They're going to Indy. I think, yeah, the Broncos are terrible, right? But they're going to have to be chucking the ball. And even though he's a moron and he's not really a good quarterback, and I don't know how he got paid all that money, the one thing he can do is chuck the ball down the field. It's not super accurate all the time, but Cortland Sutton is that guy who will go find it if he chuck it down there. So they're going to be down a shitload of points. Flacco's going to be chucking downfield. Cortland Sutton's going to find a couple of those. $5,300 in the flex spot. I like it. I like it a lot. All right. Last up, defense. I'm going with a team super well rested, underrated defense. Going to a team that is a little overrated in my opinion because they haven't really done shit yet. I'm taking the Panthers D, $2,400, pretty cheap, going to San Fran. What has Jimmy G really done except throw a couple passes to George Kittle and then watch Matt Breida and Tevin Coleman and Raheem Mostert run? Not much, right? Panthers, I think they could get to the quarterback. I think they could have a pretty decent game out there in San Francisco. And then look, the Pittsburgh defense turned them over like 4 or 5 times at home, right? So who cares? Take Carolina Panthers defense. Very good cheap option this week, $2,400. So for the Millionaire Maker, we're going with Matt Stafford, Le'Veon Bell, Latavius Murray, DeAndre Hopkins, Kenny Golladay, A.J. Brown. Get on A.J. Brown. Hunter Henry, Cortland Sutton, and the Panthers defense. All right. I hope that this shit did not skip or do anything super crazy. I'm Mike. Check out some of my other shit, NBA stuff every once in a while. And you can find me on Twitter at ThatSportsDope, Instagram the same name, and mindsofmike.com/thesportsdope is where you can find everything else. Peace out.